And while failure to manage global job creation and sustain growth inflicts tremendous damage everywhere, it is the world's poorest who suffer most, with women and youth typically the greatest victims. For this reason, sustainable growth and job creation must rise to and remain at the top of the political agenda everywhere. The United Nations is no exception.
The United Nations Economic and Social Council opened its 2012 high-level segment on Monday, calling for more focus and impact on creating decent jobs around the world to counter the global job crisis.
Recovery is not just a matter of macroeconomic adjustment, it is a development issue. From a long-term perspective, the solution is to pursue a new model of growth within the framework of sustainable development and enhanced international cooperation.
Unemployment, particularly of women, youth, and disadvantaged groups, is one of the world's biggest challenges. Forecasts from the international labor organizations suggest a further increase in global unemployment to 200 million this year. Of this number, 75 million will be of young people and 84 million will be women.
ECOSOC's high-level segment on boosting productive capacity, strengthening development cooperation, and creating decent, sustainable work brings in about 500 participants, including government ministers, heads of international organizations, and civil society groups and the private sector.
I think a lot of discussions about jobs, and particularly jobs for the most vulnerable people like young people and women. So I think we read text. I think a lot of details will be worked out, and now this is time really to take action on what we have decided.
I think the first thing is to ensure that growth produces jobs. The second one is consequently to put the financial system at the service of the real economy. It's always been that way. We've had a financial system that has been acknowledged as necessary by everybody for a long, long time in history. It suddenly went out of sync. We need to put it back in order. And the third one is that we have to acknowledge that the level of inequality in the world has grown to such an extent that it's not politically sustainable.
I think what we need, forums like this where we get government, private and not-for-profit society together, and they, on individual issues, make huge commitments to change things, and that's what we're trying to do.
The UN Secretary General's report for the annual ministerial review states that global unemployment has increased from 170 million in 2000 to 197 million in 2011, noting employment impacts were particularly strong in developed economies, where job growth turned negative. The bottom line call today is for political action and for partnerships that integrate all stakeholders to rebuild economic models for employment that help everyone and build upon sustainable development. In order to ensure that this timely high-level session focused on the imperative issues, experts and policymakers have been holding preparatory meetings in regions around the world, zeroing in on the most important topics facing these regions and presenting their findings here in New York. The reports of these meetings, which have occurred over the course of the past year, will play a critical role in developing the agenda adopted by ECOSOC for scaling back the global unemployment epidemic and crafting partnerships to promote sustainable development.
Strong economic growth has not created sufficient decent jobs to reduce the larger number of workers in informal and vulnerable employment. Average real wage growth has been slow and has not kept pace with the overall income in GDP.
Unemployed youth take on day jobs. They need to have more access to professional training, and they need to have an opportunity to be reintegrated into the educational system, and they need to be provided with social protection and employment.
The day also included a series of national voluntary presentations as part of the annual ministerial review, which allows countries to explain the progress and challenges that they have encountered throughout the last year, in the interest of sharing best practices and learning new techniques to meet the needs of their citizens. ECOSOC's 2012 high-level meetings will run through July 9th. We'll have more for you tomorrow, day 2 of ECOSOC's 2012 high-level segment. Reporting for South News, I'm Afaf Kanja in New York.